This Go in the Cave raid might just be easy and difficult at the same time. Welcome back to Corky Gachas, and in this video, I'm going to share my tips for the Go in the Cave raid. And I'm making this video although a lot of people are claiming that the Go in the Cave is a very easy raid. However, if you don't know what exactly you are doing, this raid is in fact very difficult. In fact, more difficult than Sea Serpent, more difficult than the Marsh Creation raid because of the mechanics that you have to exploit for high score. So I'm going to touch on that. This is also going to be a good chance for free-to-play players to actually obtain triple S, which is also why I'm making this video, to help you guys get at least one triple S in patch 1.4. So first things first, before we even go into the battle, we need to focus on team building. And what you want for this specific raid is two factors, right? The first one being you want a debuffer. So you really need a debuffer because this whole raid revolves around having debuffs. If you do not have at least two debuffs, you're not going to gain extra Muxi at the end of the turn. It's not going to be helpful since you always want to use ultimate. The Muxi is very important. And also, if you have 4 debuffs, you are going to remove the penetration rate buff that the boss have, which is also very critical when it comes to surviving, especially in the later rounds whereby you are hitting like 600k damage, going into the 800k range. That is where you're most likely to wipe if you do not take note of this 4 debuff factor. So these two things are absolutely important and why you need debuffers. 6, Beacon, Shaman, these are great debuffers. And also 2 Fairy, because just by using one of the units alone, of course if you have 6, this is going to be extremely helpful. But you just use Beacon alone without 2 Fairy, you're probably going to struggle because the later stages, like I mentioned, you're not going to be able to have 4 debuffs on the boss. So you're just going to straight up wipe a lot of times. So definitely if you have 2 Fairy, you want to go for her. If you don't have 2 Fairy yet, then use 6 when he is being released and you shouldn't have much problem from a debuffer front. And the next part of team building is slightly different. It has to deal with manipulating attack, and you specifically want your attack to be on your healer unit because the boss periodically attacks the highest attack unit and disarms them. So you don't want your carry to be disarmed from time to time. You're going to have a hard time hitting higher scores. Always try to manipulate to have your healer have the higher attack, and you can see on the screen for yourself, I manipulated the attack such that 2 Fairy has the higher attack. So disarm does absolutely nothing to 2 Fairy because she only has debuff cuts and healing cuts. So absolutely optimal there. But if you have trouble doing this, right, what you can do is to switch your carry to a crit build instead of an attack based build. Although attack based is usually better, switching to crit is going to be optimal for this. And you can also remove some of the squares that give attack if needed, right? So for my Beacon, if I don't remove the squares, she's going to be higher attack than 2 Fairy and it's going to ruin the whole thing, right? So just take 5 minutes to reorganize your resonance, try to manipulate your attack by a bit, and you're going to have an easier time when you go into battle. Now, going into battle, the only thing that you have to take note of for this whole raid, right, it's about the ultimates when it comes to the offensive front. Of course, maintaining debuffs is absolutely important, like I mentioned, dispelling the penetration rate and stuff. But ultimate is overall the key to having high scores because the boss takes additional damage from ultimates. The ultimate is going to dispel away his positive buffs. The ultimate is also going to benefit your overall team by increasing their damage. And what you want to do optimally is to use at least 3 of the ultimates in the turn so that you can drastically increase the damage that your carry deals, right? And the order does matter. So the first unit to cast that, right, would not enjoy any damage increase benefits. However, the second unit would enjoy a 30% damage increase because the first one already casted the ultimate, and then subsequently it will be 60%, 90%, and you always want your carry to be the last to cast their ultimate so that they get the most benefit. And how do you exactly get 3 or 4 ultimates in a turn? This is where the manipulation of Muxi comes into play. Like I mentioned, right, having the debuffs is absolutely important, at least 2, so that at the end of the round, the boss is going to give you 1 free Muxi for all of your allies, right? So you can think of needing only 4 Muxi to charge up an ultimate, and from this end, it makes the stacking of multiple ultimates a lot easier. You don't have to use as many cards, right? So what you want to do is to line up everyone's Muxi so that when you end the turn, all of them have 4 Muxi, and then going into the new round, they're all going to have 5 Muxi, they're all going to have ultimates. But also take note that you need to at least use 4 cards in this round if you want to get the 4 new ultimates, right? Otherwise, there's not enough slots for the ultimate to come in. This is a rookie mistake. Sometimes I do see people making this, and I do fall for this from time to time, right, at the start of the raid as well. But now I'm quite accustomed. I always try to use 4 cards so that they always have slots to come in. You can use the 4 ultimates the next round. And also take note that at the same time, if you use 4 ultimates for that round, right, if you're using units such as Beacon, it means that during that round you cannot cast your debuff card. So try to also end on 4 Muxi and use the debuff card at the same time. This is why, right, for this specific raid, my card usage, right, my beacon is the top card usage, more cards than my Melania, because every time before you go into the ultimate burst turn, you want to have the beacon use the debuff card. So this is very important. I keep shuffling for debuff card to ensure that this is the case, so that even after I cast the 4 ultimates, right, I will not end in the predicament whereby the boss is going to one-shot one of my units, specifically to Fairy. And also fusing cards is always positive EV over here, because just by using one action to fuse the card, you are going to gain 2 Muxi. So always fuse cards and always try to manipulate Muxi so that you end with 4. So these are the 2 important tips when it comes to manipulating Muxi, so that you are able to ultimate as much as possible. Now with all these tips, I think it will be absolutely easy for you guys to at least achieve a double S, right, for this goal in the cave raid. Let me know in the comment section below whether these tips are beneficial for you in achieving a higher score. Also, if you have been hearing about 6 and thinking why exactly is 6 so strong, you definitely have to check out this video. I'll see you guys over there. This is Corky Gachas, signing off.